Hi, I'm Ed Alexander, attorney with Alexander Abramson. This is part one of our Structuring the Deal video, and it's part of the Guide to Buying a Business video series. So there are two primary ways to structure a business purchase. There's the stock purchase, which we're going to discuss now, and then there's the asset purchase, which we'll discuss later on. Each of them have pros and cons associated with them. In a stock purchase, the seller is the actual owner of the business. So they would be a shareholder or they would be a member or multiple ones, right? And so Mr. Buyer comes and decides to make the purchase. Mr. Buyer provides money to the stockholder of the seller. The stockholder of the seller provides the stock to the buyer. And so at the end of the day, we now have Business Inc. here, and Business Inc. goes here. So now buyer is the shareholder of the business and seller has the money. Okay? And so the equity has been transferred. Nothing about the business changes. It is just the ownership. It's similar to buying and selling any stock that you might have. So there are pros and cons, right? The cons are whatever liabilities this business has, go with it. So it does not leave the liabilities with seller. And as a result, if maybe there's a breach of contract or somebody slipped and fell on the business premises, all of those responsibilities lie with the business. The next is tax. Whatever the tax arrangement is that the seller set up, the buyer is stuck with. So if the seller depreciated all the assets of the business, the buyer doesn't get any of those benefits, right? If there was mistakes made in the tax returns, the buyer will suffer the results of those mistakes. So bottom line is there's some real downsides to this. The benefits are if this entity has a license or maybe some important contracts, then those also go with the business, and the business might not have to be licensed. Now there's some caveats to this. The first is many contracts provide, like leases, provide that if there's a change in the ownership, then that's deemed an assignment of that contract, and you still have to get the approval. And likewise for licenses. Licenses are oftentimes geared on the buyer and the seller, and so that's part of what needs to be looked at. But if those aren't the case, if the licenses and the contracts are not dependent on the owner, then this can be a great way to make a transfer without anybody outside the business itself understanding that a transfer took place. In our next video, we're going to talk about the asset purchase transaction. Thanks for watching.